Rain and mud is a constant factor in Grand National cross-country racing. So the best in the business did their job in it in their last race, round 3 in North Carolina. When the best of the best, Chris Borich emerged with another victory. Can he do it again today? We're ready to go racing round 4 of the 2014 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series, the venerable Big Buck GNCC, brought to you by VP Racing Fuels from Union, South Carolina, not too far from the Greenville, Spartanburg area. Been racing here for a long time. This track is well known to these riders, and we usually get great weather here, which is usually a change. We had some mud and rain in Florida, round 1. Wasn't too bad by the usual standards, round 2 in Georgia, and then it was a pretty much straight up mutter at our last race in North Carolina. Today, nothing but sunshine, perfect conditions for our top ATV riders to take to it. You see Chris Borich with the number 1, Walker Fowler on the 2. Watch out for the number 10 of Jared McClure has really stepped up this year after an off season last year. And the fun-loving Adam McGill will be one to watch as well. It did seem like McGill and Fowler were looking to make inroads towards Borich's championship run with a strong race at round 2. He roared back to win round 3. So this is pivotal here for confidence, momentum, and of course series points. Here we go. It's bad news for everybody else. Borich has really dialed in his starts over the last year and a half, and he's got another pole shot here, brought to you by the folks at GNCC Racing and Twin Air. Going to put some money in his pocket. Not like he needs it, because usually he does his real business at the end of the race, and that's where we get the big bonuses. Here is Fowler up to the number 2 position already, trying to challenge him. And how about at dusk for the first time in 2014? It's a good place to race. A lot of the tracks that have been around a little bit longer in this series doesn't always work out so well as far as the conditions. It gets so chopped up and up. But the riders seem to like racing here at the Big Buck. And a huge pack today in this pro class. Fowler has now taken the lead on the AmPro Yamaha from Borich. And a shout out to one of the young kids here. The number 11 is Jay Shadron on a Yamaha, moving up to the pro class just recently. McClure, the number 10, in 4th. The rest of the field working their way through here. I believe that was McGill on this uphill. And an interesting mix. A lot of the riders starting to climb the ranks out of the youth and amateur divisions of GNCC. We'll see if they can make an impact. Fowler was once one of them. Borich, of course, has been here on top of the pro class for a long time. Let's give you our XC1 slow motion replay. And it's the start. Rocky Mountain ATV MC giving you this footage. I don't know. I did not see Chris Borich. I honestly cannot remember ever getting a whole shot for about 10 years. And all of a sudden, about halfway through the season last year, he began to nail them. Again, he doesn't need them because normally he does his damage late in the race. But I would imagine he makes it a little bit easier on himself as far as saving energy without having to put in these furious charges. No change in the top 4 right now. It's still Shadron and McClure, 3rd and 4th. And then McGill. So like I said, a pivotal battle here between Fowler, who is the rider that many believe is next in line to knock Borich off of this championship. Borich, of course, wants to make sure if that does happen, it happens a long time from now. Several years he'd like to hold it off. Now, of course, other riders have come through the ranks to try to knock the champion off, and they ended up by the wayside. We'll see if Fowler has the stuff to get it done today. Great battle building up. You got McClure, Shadron, McGill, and Brian Wolf here in the yellow gear, all trying to keep the leaders in sight. Borich looks to have taken the lead back now from Fowler, so they are really dicing and pulling away from the rest of the field. You don't normally see a breakout pack like this early on, but look at the pace that Borich is running. I think he wants to try to burn Fowler right now, trying to pull away from him. All right, the gap not quite as big as I thought. McClure hanging in there in 3rd. McGill has now busted through to 4th. And Wolf hanging right with him. Borich continuing to pound it on this track. There are sections that are going to get rough, like I said, because they've been racing for so long. They can find some fresh trail most of the time, but you're still going to have a lot of the track left over from previous years, and it just gets bigger and rougher every season. Fowler now taking the lead back, and it's all tightening up. Must have been a mistake by the champ, putting everyone back in contention. And our first look today at Chris Bithell. Now, Bithell and Borich, good buddies off the track. They're both running those Suzukis. I was going to say that Borich should pass some of those starting secrets on to his buddy, because Borich has figured out how to get hole shots as of late. Bithell has not, but there's more bad news coming for the number 4. Apparently, he started his machine early on the dead engine start, and he is going to incur a penalty here as he comes through. There's Wolf in the yellow gear, and look, they're pulling Bithell off to the side. Is a 30-second stop-and-go penalty. He's gonna have a lot of work to do to catch up after this.
Twins have notoriously been very hard on crankshafts because that big long stroke with his 2 cylinders just flexes the crankshaft around. So we were seeing bearing issues. Research development people at AMSOIL could show us that it was likely an oil problem. And they were correct. That was the issue. Instead of having to redesign the engine, I just had to do a better quality oil.
Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. War being waged here for the lead at the VP Fuels Big Buck GNCC, and you talk about it. We know that Walker Fowler has the talent and the stuff to go after Chris Borich. He's showing right now they have hooked up, pulled back away from the field, and it might be a private duel. These other guys are certainly pushing hard. But what a level we have seen from the number 2 and the number 1 today. Anytime someone is able to make tracks on them, they're able to pull back ahead. Big uphill climb for the Yamaha mounted Fowler, the Suzuki rider. Borich right behind. McGill has done some digging, backed by RacingPowersports.com, CST Tires, and PirateMX.com. He has not had the starts this year, but he has forced his way to the front. But again, the energy these guys are expending to try to catch the lead duo, that could be tough even if they get there. Now, this is one of the most exciting parts of this track, the creek section. Sometimes they have a jump over there. Not the case this time. They've got to dig down through the mud and then look at this hook line. And the fans here in South Carolina loving this action. Here is McGill in 3rd. McClure and Wolf fighting it out 4th and 5th. And you do not see Bithell in that shot because he had that stop-and-go penalty. He's got some ground to make up. And this is the fight people have been waiting to see for several years. Yes, Fowler and Borich have hooked up a couple of times, but to have it at the beginning of the championship when they're still close in points, again, I can't use the word pivotal enough. So much on the line here. And Borich, I think he enjoys being in these situations. He doesn't want to just beat these guys. He knows how important the mental game is. He would like nothing more than to just park on that rear grab bar of Fowler all day long and then try to make the move in the last lap. We've seen him do it time and time again. And that's a certain way to demoralize the competition. But wait a minute, don't sleep on McGill. He's making a run for it. He has broken away from that pack. We see it's McClure all by himself, and you really get an idea just how rough this big buck track can be. And Wolf doing a good job keeping him in check. And here comes Bithell. Well, he tried to get the good start today, tried a little bit too hard. I'm sure there was an accident there, firing the machine early. But regardless, ignorance not bliss. If it happened, you got to take the penalty. He's really going to have to dig. And I don't know if there'll be enough time for anyone to catch these two. They are blazing through the woods right now. McGill doing everything he can to keep them honest. This is turning into a real grudge race right now. Who's got the stuff? Who's got the speed? Who's showing their hand? Who's got what under the hood? Throw out all the cliches you want. And look at the distance. It's just enough where McGill cannot see them. If he can get 2 or 3 seconds closer and see them in some of those sections, it might help him run them down. Look at Borich just staying again, perched on the rear grab bar of Fowler. That's right where he wants to be. He's going to eat a lot of dust, though, doing that. 2 laps down, 2 laps to go here at the big buck. Another shot of McGill. He just needs to inch up a little bit and make it a three-rider fight.
Sometimes you come across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of tires, ATV and UTV accessories, and OEM parts, to our online chat, customer reviews, and instructional videos. Our extensive inventory means most orders arrive in 3 days or less. Get low prices, quick shipping, and incredible customer service. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. Blowing out berms, overshooting corners, pushing themselves to new limits. Look at this race between Walker Fowler and Chris Borich. Jason Wygant here, your host on RacerTV.com, the VP Racing Fuels Big Buck GNCC. There's Adam McGill, still back there in third. Dust is everywhere, and that's the only thing, as I was saying earlier, that probably isn't good for Borich. He is always comfortable back there in second, being the hunter, but the dust today in some of these sections, that cannot be fun. Although if you stay right on the guy, you're actually almost beneath the dust. You're still taking on some roost, though. So a great effort for McGill to get up to third, but the charge is stalled. Those two up front really pushing themselves. It looks like Bindle has moved up into the number 4 position. And here we are on the hill climb. Fans down here in the south are pumped on this action. Beautiful job by Fowler. Okay, we got screams, we have ups and downs. It's pretty much like a day at the amusement park. We got a roller coaster here. Now they're going to work their way back down after that hill climb. Lonely ride for McGill. He has done everything in his power to catch these two. But that's the difference now that Borich is getting better starts. They're pushing harder earlier. We'll be back to this in a minute, but let's show you the highlights of our Can-Am morning race. The 4x4 Pro Class, so exciting this year. This is what I'm talking about. Kicking it sideways with 700 pounds of machine into the first turn. That's Corey Savage. Gets shuffled back due to that fucking Bronco ride here at the Big Buck. Jordan Phillips, who won our last race, out front early here at Big Buck. Robert Smith right behind him. Typical players, Trantham, Buckhannon, Checo, Swift, all in contention as well. This is just so exciting, this new class this year. Now that we have the best riders competing against each other instead of different 4x4 classes. Look at this action. As Smith tries to go after Phillips, these guys went back and forth all day long, about 5 of them dueling. Phillips backed by the Can-Am X team on that white Can-Am Renegade. He led most of the day, but look, he had riders behind him the whole time. The gap was never more than about 3 seconds. But he's going to manage to hold off Kevin Trantham and Smith to take the win. Rick Checo, Swift, and Savage round out the class of 4x4 Pro. That is going to be an exciting championship to watch, but right now Jordan Phillips is a rider to beat. And back to our afternoon race, it's still Walker Fowler, the rider to beat, and still dealing with the relentless pressure of Chris Borich. No change in the order, and this is really the calm before the storm. It don't look like we run into a fourth quarter situation. We're just waiting for that last push, or a cycling race where they're just pacing each other right now. It's almost like Borich is in Fowler's draft. He's going to run the exact pace of Fowler, and then we'll see who's got what when they uncork it on the final go-around. Yeah, no change. Every time you see it, Borich just close enough looking to put a little heat on, but not so close that he's in that roof zone. And you might say to yourself, why does Borich take the chance? Why not just go for the pass? But a lot of times on these tracks, the most experienced riders, they just pick out 1 or 2 spots where you can make the pass. On an ATV, with all these trees around, you've got to find an alternate line. And I've got to wonder if Borich isn't just saying, I've got 1 spot or maybe 2 picked out, and I've got to save them to the last lap. If I try to pass him now, make a mistake, and give it back, I'm out of passing room. So he might just be saving something right now. But Fowler's been through this game before. He knows it. You've got to try to burn Borich in this last lap. This is going to be something fierce when the white flag comes out. And nice job by Bithell. Keeps on pushing. That's so hard when you're by yourself. McGill hasn't been able to really see these two, and Bithell has not really been able to see McGill. But Bithell on that precision Maxxis back machine keeps on fighting. And it's still no man's land for McGill. All right, so we're set up for a fantastic finish. Who's going to get the podium spot? Who's going to get the win? Stay tuned on Racer TV.
What do you call a machine that combines precision-engineered handling, industry-leading power, and a rider-focused design? We call it a Can-Am. From the essentials to fully loaded, you'll find that same combination in every ATV and side-by-side we build. And right now, get your own for as low as $149 a month. Can-Am, the ride says it all.
Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. They are moving. They have somehow upped the pace even faster from where they were a lap and a half ago. Wide open on this final go-around. Everything on the line between Walker Fowler and Chris Borich. Not just points, but momentum in the championship. Fowler's 3rd year now in this pro class. As we see Adam McGill still back here in the number 3 position. Fowler has the resume. He came through the ranks, winning titles on both ATVs and motorcycles in the youth division. Dominated the ATV ranks through the amateur divisions through our Pro-Am class. And they are waiting for the year where he has the stuff to truly battle Chris Borich for the championship. Yes, he's won some races. You can see he runs the number 2 plate. But to really put the heat on Borich in the title chase, could this year be the year? And it looks good here on this final lap. I think he's actually opened up a little distance on Borich. Wow. I don't want to overstate the importance of one race, but you know how mental this game is. If Borich hangs on the rear tires of Fowler all the way, but then cannot make the happen on the final lap, that'll be a big boost for Fowler, and it looks good so far for the kid from Ohio. So a different scenario now for Fowler. He's riding all by himself, and normally when you don't have the pressure on, you would think you'd ride better, but he's got to be wondering just a little bit, where is the champ? What happened? Is he coming? Doesn't look like it's happening. Into the field, absolutely hauling is Fowler. So he might have this one under control. There's the gap. I'd say it's maybe about 10 seconds. Borich really going to have to hustle now. You're going to see something special here from Borich. We know the kind of edge he has, and he knows from all his years battling to get this title with the likes of Bill Balance, and then what he's done defending it the last couple of years. Wait a minute! Borich has the lead! What happened to Fowler? I saw that distance, and I thought that Fowler had already come through. But just like that, it has changed. It has changed in a hurry, and Fowler looked like he had this one tucked away. And now this podium battle is not over as McGill and Bithell fight for it. Bithell inching up ever so slightly. he might be in contention for third. Now Borich just has to go through the motions. I believe he's riding without goggles, too, on this final lap. So it would have been difficult for him to make that move on Fowler. And we now hear Fowler had that gap built up maybe 20, 30 seconds, and then he got hung up behind a lap rider, and he lost all that time and the lead. And I think, again, it's going to be too late to strike, but not too late for Bithell. Wow, this has taken a long time, probably about an hour since he has seen the back of McGill. And I think now that he's gotten there, he's not going to stop. And he hasn't. He has taken over third. Certainly a commentary on the fitness of Bithell this year. The bad start, taking the penalty, having to come from behind, hasn't been able to rest all day. Now Borich, you would never know how close this race was. He is able to take his time through the lap traffic now. Wow, and as they emerge from the woods, the fans have to be wondering what happened. The last time they saw Chris Borich, he was in second. He emerged with the lead, and even when he does his patented last lap thing, it's usually close. But now he's got a big gap built up. We said it would be a statement. We said it'd be big momentum. Who was going to get it? Chris Borich taking another victory. By the way, that will extend the all-time GNCC win mark that he already possesses. Tough break for Fowler. He did everything right for about 80, maybe 90% of this race. One mistake is going to cost him big time. He's not going to be happy about that. And what a ride for Bithell. McGill's going to challenge him all the way to the line. Look at him hitting the rev limiter. You can hear it. But too little, too late. Chris Bithell, way to dig deep. I did not think he had a shot at the podium. Look at the AMSOIL results, and that's exactly where he is. McClure, good ride in fifth. Merrick, Henthorne, Wolf, Neal, Landon Wolf, another one of the young kids, rounds out the top 10. Well, here are your point standings. Borich now quickly pulling away. He had some rough luck at the last race. Fowler did, and he didn't get the points back today, unable to do it. McClure running strong in third. He's been consistent. Trying to improve on that number 10 from last year. Here's your AMSOIL race recap. Borich grabbed the whole shot. Fowler got around him, and these two hooked it up. They just ran an incredible pace all day long. Look at how close it was in certain sections. You were waiting for the Borich last lap charge, but instead he made an uncharacteristic mistake. It looked like Fowler had it in hand until he made an error of his own in lap traffic. Borich was able to get around him and take the checker flag. That's it from the Big Buck. For everyone at Racer TV, I'm Jason Wygan. Thanks for watching.